Hi, DollarMakers members. This week I thought instead of writing the usual voluminous screed, I'd send you a video and see how you like that. Maybe that'll be good for you. So today I wanted to talk with you this week about dealing with the wrong people in terms of belief systems. Years ago, 100 years ago, when I was studying psychology, we were told about a true instance where a guy was psychotic. He was normal in every other area of his life, but he was psychotic in one area, and that was that he believed that he was dead. And so his lecturer or his therapist decided that he would use some cognitive therapy on him. And he said to this psychotic patient, so you believe you're dead, right? And the guy said, yes, definitely. He said, so the therapist said, do you believe that dead people bleed? And the patient said, no, of course not. Dead people don't bleed. So the therapist took a pin, stuck it in the guy, and he said, well, what do you think of that? And the patient said, wow, I can't believe it. Dead people do bleed. So don't try to persuade a Jehovah's Witness that is visiting your house that he's wrong. Don't try to persuade a Mormon that he's wrong. Don't try to persuade anybody that they're wrong because they're so stuck in their beliefs. Now, that's not true of everybody, but in most cases. Don't try to persuade a cult member that he belongs to a cult. I once had a guy that called me up, and he'd been a member of DollarMakers before, but over the past few months, he joined a network marketing company, which is really one of the worst for him because he has no communication skills, and this particular one required a lot of communication skills. So he called me up and he said, "Why, Robin? I'm calling you up just to get your opinion because this is one of the selling techniques that they use." He said, "As you know, I was a member of DollarMakers some time back, and since then I've joined this MLM company, and what do you think of it?" Well, the real reason why he was asking me what I thought of it was not to get my opinion, but was to get an appointment to try and sell me this MLM stuff. So I said to him, well, there's 5 reasons why you particularly shouldn't get into this particular company. And the main reason that I'm going to share with you is that you're not a good salesman or communicator, and this is not right for you. There's other things that might work for you, but not this one. Well, he lambasted me with all the reasons why he would succeed. And a year later, I met the same guy, and he'd lost over $40,000 getting involved with this company. And that's not just auto ship, that's all the other stuff, right? So, when people believe something, there's a reason why they believe it. And you as a joint venture broker going out there, you're gonna bump into this quite often, and I'm sure you do. And that's possibly why you joined DollarMakers. People have a belief because they've attracted a whole lot of evidence, and this evidence has given them reason to believe what they believe, like the legs of a table. If a table has 4 legs and the legs are the evidence and the top of the table is the belief, they've accumulated all this evidence, sometimes over years, and often this evidence that they've accumulated has given them a belief that is a crutch that helps them to cope with pain and things in their lives. It helps them to cope. It's a very strong coping mechanism. This is true of religion. It's true of political beliefs, all sorts of beliefs. They believe what they believe for a very specific reason, and they've got a lot of evidence that they've brought together to believe this. Now, you with your flimsy evidence cannot overnight change them to believe different. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because as a joint venture broker, when you approach somebody with a joint venture and 1% or less, according to Jay Abraham, and I believe he's right, I think it's less than 1% of business owners, I'm talking about small and medium-sized business owners, understand and use joint ventures. That's why I started DollarMakers, so that we could educate our own potential joint venture partners. And having said that, we've got people that have attended 10 boot camps, they still don't get it. They still don't understand overlap. They still don't understand reciprocity. They still don't get their ego out of the way because they're never going to get it. And that's fine, right? But the reason why I'm telling you this is because when you approach somebody about a joint venture and they say no, it's not you. It's their conditioning. It's their beliefs. When I go to somebody and I say, hey, we got JV Web Partners, and you can get a really good website for $20 a month, and he says, well, what's the catch? Right? It's not JV Web Partners. JV Web Partners is excellent. When you approach somebody about this government grant thing here in BC, and you say to him, the government's going to give you $5,000 to train your guys, and it's good training, and he says it's got to be a Ponzi scheme. There's something wrong, right? You shouldn't be talking to that guy. Don't try to convince him. Walk away. Shake the dust from your feet and move on. because you're not going to change him or convince him. And that's why we say to people, hey, work within DollarMakers, even within DollarMakers, be selective. Use the joint ventures that we bring you. We now have 11 or 12 divisions in DollarMakers. We've got DollarMakers Inspired Minds. We've got all these different sections of DollarMakers to give you a wide variety of choices so that you can deal with people who actually understand this, and even some of our members don't understand, right? So work with what we've given you, work with members, work with joint ventures that we're endorsing and offering you, and you'll have less frustration, because that's the reason why I started DollarMakers, so that you'd have less frustration and make more money and be able to move quickly. And so you don't have to deal with all these things. Well, how do I know you're going to pay me? And how do I know this is going to work? And some of you have asked me that, because we say to you, hey, here's a great joint venture. Have a look at this great joint venture. And then you're saying, well, yes, that looks great, but what about this one? How stupid do you have to be to understand here's a proven joint venture, and now you come along with something else, you're probably not going to get paid. You're not going to get the thing working. Now, in some cases you do, but that's the main reason why people fail. They're dealing with the wrong people. And we all make that mistake. So find people that get it, find people that would pay, and here's the most important thing. If you get somebody that says the right things and talks the talk and agrees with everything and will sign anything, but as soon as you see that they're not going to do it or they don't get it, walk away. Because there are a lot of people out there that think, well, now you're bound to me. Now you're locked in. No, you're not. We had a woman that got involved, came on our boot camps, and was highly recommended by somebody whom I trust. And she started, and we were going to do a joint venture with her. And you know what? Every meeting, there were red flags going up. And Rika said, you're stupid. This woman's not going to do right. And she was right. The more red flags. And eventually, even though the site was nearly finished, I said to her, hey, this isn't going to work. I'm walking away. So don't try to persuade the psychotic that he's not dead. Don't try to persuade the business owner that thinks the joint venture is a scam that they're not a scam. Walk away. There's a lot of good people that you can deal with. And I'm not saying you have to deal with in DollarMakers. You can do whatever you like. But if you want to save time and make money, work within the DollarMakers organization with the established leaders in DollarMakers, with their established joint ventures. You'll save a lot of time. You'll make a lot of money. Until next week, thanks for being part of DollarMakers family. Thanks for your contribution. And get excited, get very excited, because there's a lot of really good things happening in DollarMakers now. As you can see, we're expanding, we're growing, and we've attracted some wonderful people. If you're in Ontario, believe me, the new team in Ontario, headed up by Glenn Witter, is going to kick butt. You want to be part of that. That's going to be really great. We've allocated things that people are good at. They're doing what they're good at, and it's a great team. So we're going to really grow again in Toronto, and this time we're going to do it right. We're going to build with the right people, so we're not going to build on sand. We're going to build on rock. So look forward to what's happening in Ontario. As you know, Edmonton is flying, and Vancouver is like a space rocket. So get involved. Get excited, and thanks for being part of DollarMakers. Hope you enjoyed the video as opposed to the writing. We'll see.